Hello, Julie. My name is Thao. Welcome to my presentation. In this presentation, I'm going to talk about an innovation that I'm going to take in my classroom. It is improving students' proficiency in speaking through our representation. My presentation is divided into 5 parts. The first one is the rationale of the research. The second one is the research questions. The third one is the literature review. The fourth one is the research settings and methodology. And the fifth one is the ethics. So now let's come with the first part of my research. Innovation is the rationale. Before that, I have done a lot of research, and I found out that not many papers focus on this topic seriously, and there aren't many clearly stated papers that discuss this problem. And what inspired me to do this innovation is the demand for effective learning and teaching English in Vietnam. As the demand for learning English goes up in Vietnam, it results in the desire for improvement in the quality of learning and teaching English. Moreover, most of the students in Vietnam are familiar with traditional approach, which may limit their autonomy in learning. And it seems that they rely too much on the teacher. They prefer teacher-centered classroom. On top of that, grammar translation is preferred when it comes to learning English. They applied grammar translation to all the skill, and sometimes grammar translation cannot work properly for all the skill that they need to practice. So they develop their anxiety in speaking, especially when it comes to communication in reality. And it leads me to the research questions. The research question of my research are: what are the role of the oral representation on speaking skill? Because I want to find out the relationships and find out whether oral presentation has an impact on speaking proficiency in terms of fluency and accuracy or not. So the sub-question of my research are: do oral presentation enhance learners' speaking proficiency in terms of fluency and accuracy? And the next one, what limits the implementation of using oral presentation in speaking lessons? To support my innovation and my research, let's come to the literature review. In 2010, Girard, Pina and Trapt conducted a research which implies that students not only improve their communication skill but also raise their interest in learning English when teachers use our representation in the classroom. Moreover, it helps to engage students in the classroom activities such as classroom participation and group works. Thornbury in 2005 stated that for those who learned language, oral presentation provides realistic tasks to engage in, and it requires students to use English more than usual to communicate with the large group among the class. King in 2002 also added that oral presentation fill the gap between students learning and using language. Apple and Kikuchi in 2007 also mentioned that students develop their autonomy in choosing the language to explain and to communicate with their classmates in the classroom. It means that they have to express their ideas and their thinkings in English, and they can construct their own language. However, anxiety is a factor that limits the implementation of our representation in the classroom because it can play the role of a barrier towards speaking fluency, and it leads to the low engagement in the practice of speaking. For the research settings and methodology, let's come with the first part, research settings. This research is placed at a private language center based in Hanoi, and its name is Tiếng Anh Thầy Tiệp. The participants chosen for this study is a speaking class, consists of 8 students. Their age range from 18 to 30. They are mainly students, university students, and some of them work. Their English proficiency levels are just beginners and pre-intermediate. One of the cultural factors that affects their learning English is that they follow the traditional approach, which is teacher-centered and grammar-focused, and they lack a practice of communication in reality. They are shy to speak out, and they are not comfortable to take risks. Some of them even have the fixed mindset in speaking, such as achieving accuracy and fluency in speaking is very difficult for them. They think so. About the methodology of this innovation, the factor that affects the research is my worldview, the researcher's worldview. My worldview is a pragmatic, because I believe that to find the solutions in the classroom to the existing problem is beneficial for all of the students and the teachers in the classroom, and I prefer use a combination of methods to understand the research problem better. So the methodology for this research is qualitative, and I use action research. The data would be collected by observation, open-ended questionnaires, checklists, and video recordings. After that, the data would be analyzed by categorizing, coding into themes to interpret and report the result later. Last but not least, ethics of this study will be presented. To protect the participants' confidentiality, a consent form will be sent to students for video recording permission beforehand, and their information will be anonymous in case they don't want their name to be revealed. And the permission from the language center will be asked before this innovation is conducted. This study may also encounter some potential problems. For example, the teachers plays the role of researcher as well, so it is likelihood that students' answer can be influenced by the teachers. Furthermore, some students they may have a feeling of stress and being cohesive, and they may limit the information that they can give. The solution for those potential problems that I can think of in this innovation is to build a good rapport with a student, and I will make the negotiations to get their willingness in advance. The implementation of this research would bring back some benefits for sure. To the learners, it will improve the language skill and autonomy. To the teachers and the researcher as well. It can help to develop skill and knowledge, and also inspire themselves in the career path. And finally, to the center, it can gain reputation and apply effective method into teaching later on. Lastly, are the references that I use in this innovation research. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.